This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball from a rainy and soggy Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis. We are officially in a Helitech rain delay. It's the San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals on Fox Sports Midwest. Stephen Piscotty last night. This drive into right center. First ever triple in the big leagues. Remember, over the weekend, he had his first ever Major League home run. He would wind up at third with one out in the eighth and eventually score the go-ahead and game-winning run. He's been terrific at home all season long, but this homestand, 7 games, averaged nearly at 400, 5 extra base hits. He's in the lineup tonight. That's Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And Piscotty, yes, he's been fun to watch.
He really has been. He's hit safely in 19 of the 24 games that he's gotten in a bat, and he's also hit over 400 with runners in scoring position. He's played a good outfield, and tonight he'll be starting in right field. Cardinals have 3 outfielders on the DL. Hayward not in the lineup with his strain of the hamstring, but Stephen Piscotty has been the real thing and really a shot in the arm.
Ryan Vogel's song, at some point when we play baseball tonight, will start for the Giants, Lance Lynn for the Cardinals. It's a Helitech rain delay on the other side of this timeout. We head across the street to Fox Sports Midwest Live. Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is also here. Make a case, Al. This is the hardest it's rained since they decided to call a delay to the start of our first pitch.
Yeah, I think that's a good statement. Doesn't bode well for these starters, because there is rain in the area. And maybe a little cell right now that they thought was going to be here in the last half hour. And now it's starting to rain. Bill Finley does an excellent job. The head groundskeeper here. His staff is really works hard, but it's in the umpiring crew's hands right now because the lineup's been exchanged.
Let's take a look at the Giants lineup with Gregor Blanco, Matt Duffy, and Brandon Belt. Buster Posey will bat cleanup. Nearly won the game for the Giants last night in the ninth coming off the bench. Then Brandon Crawford, breakout season offensively for him. Kelby Tomlinson, Ryan Lawless, Justin Maxwell, and Ryan Vogelsong, the starting nine for the San Francisco Giants. It's a look who is on the bench for San Francisco. Perez, Pence, Susak, Adrianza, the switch hitter. And on the mound for St. Louis, coming off a very rough start. Lasted just 2/3 of an inning against Pittsburgh when the Cardinals were looking for a sweep. It is Lance Lynn with start number 23 tonight.
Well, Lance loved to bounce back from that start. And usually when you have one of those, you come out and you pitch very well. You get a little more rest than you're accustomed to. But he has never beaten the San Francisco Giants. He's won a lot of ball games, but he's 0-3 against the Giants with a high ERA. Hopefully that'll change tonight.
Did have one appearance and a start against the Giants in postseason, and 0-1 in the playoffs against San Francisco. The Hyundai pitch arsenal, you're going to see a lot of different variations of the fastball from Lance Lynn.
And basically, just goes out there and challenges people. He's learned how to cut it, sink it, how to ride it, and gets a lot of mileage out of that fastball.
First pitch on a hop to short, taken there by Peralta. One pitch, one out. Brandon Moss, another start after being on base 3 times last night. He's in left field. Tommy Pham in center, and Steven Piscotty is in right field. Matt Carpenter at third base. Peralta just 4 errors this year at short. Colton Wong, Mark Reynolds on the right side of the infield. Molina is behind the plate, and that's presented by Dobbs. As Al mentioned in our open about 45 minutes ago, this young outfield has been banged up for the Cardinals. Hayward not in the starting lineup. Randall Grichuk is on the DL. Matt Holliday is missing time. And so Brandon Moss getting that start in left field tonight. Quickly, no balls, 2 strikes on Matt Duffy, and Tommy Pham, recalled for the second time this year, gets the start in center tonight for Mike Matheny's club.
If you would have told Mike Matheny he'd place these 3 outfielders on August 18th, you wouldn't think they'd have the best record in baseball.
First strikeout of the night for Lance Lynn. Recorded 2 outs on 4 pitches.
When we talk about pitch counts don't mean too much with Lance Lynn, big, strong, burly guy, but it is welcoming to see that he goes out there in real efficient fashion, and hopefully that bodes well for a long outing.
Brings in Brandon Belt. 7 home runs here in the month of August to lead the Giants. 17 overall. He's driven in 57. And Lynn is pumping strikes.
That also is important with a forecast like this. Try and get his game in as quickly as possible.
Here's the 0-1. And Belt turns on it, pulls it foul. Not to make excuses for Lance Lynn, I thought the defense in that first inning, the start in which he lasted 2/3, a little shaky. Remember, Carpenter had the error at third. You had the play in center that may have been caught, would have taken a very good play, but those kind of things happen. It's how you bounce back from them, how you deal with them.
Right. You have to overcome those, and you have to prove that you can overcome mistakes that are made, physical and mental errors. But you're also going to have some of those outings too where nothing goes right.
I always find it interesting for a guy like Colton Wong right now, with the rain falling, and the rain has been falling now 15-20 minutes. you're playing on the outfield grass and how the ball will skip on that outfield grass now for infielders with the different defensive alignments. That one goes Lynn's way. A strikeout of Belt on the outside corner. 2 in the inning and a 1-2-3 start. Little different look for Lance Lynn. Lewis, a rainy night to start our telecast here tonight. Game 2 of this series. Matt Carpenter, red hot. He'll lead it off, and the Giants are sick of seeing him. He's had great numbers against San Francisco. So Carpenter leads it off. Then Steven Piscotty, Johnny Peralta, Brandon Moss, Yadier Molina, Colton Wong, Mark Reynolds, Tommy Pham, and the pitcher batting ninth, Lance Lynn. On the mound for San Francisco will be Ryan Vogelsong, so he'll see that 9, and then also on the bench, Hayward available to pinch hit from the left side, Borges, Cosma, Cruz from the right side. Vogelsong, the right-hander, is 8-8. This time last night, we thought it would be Mike Leake. He's dealing with a leg injury. Apparently that issue popped back up last night, so Vogelsong is thrust into this spot. And the first pitch is taken for a strike.
And Vogelsong, 37 years of age, he knows how to deal with these things. He started in the bullpen, and when some of the injuries started happening to the rotation, he was in the rotation, back to the bullpen, and this is the 3rd time he's actually replaced Mike Leake, who came over at the trade deadline from Cincinnati.
Matt Carpenter has 57 at-bats in his career against the Giants, and he's hitting over 500 against San Francisco, 509.
Hit 520 against the Giants last season to lead all National Leaguers, and this year, in the past, he's 5 for 10 off of Vogelsong.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Happy birthday to Tony Cruz, celebrating his 29th birthday today. Here's a 1-2. That one caught Buster Posey as he hops out of the stance behind home plate. Our Toyota keys to the game with Al Raboski.
Well, we want to see a rebound for Lance Lynn. You know, in starts after pitching 5 innings or less, he's made 25 different starts. He's 13-4 with an ERA of 2.62. So he's off to a good start. And also Carpenter, stay hot against the Giants. We mentioned that he hit 520 against them last season. This year is now his career average against the Giants is 509. And we want that to continue because he really is the table setter for the Cardinal offense.
See Carpenter keep grabbing at the dirt to try to give Posey a little time to collect himself. Tough position to do it day in and day out. Catcher in the big leagues. Here's a 1-2. Thought it was really interesting with our visit with Matt Holliday last week and talking about breaking down the swing of Carpenter and the front shoulder and how sometimes a hitter can find himself sweeping with the bat instead of directly towards the ball. Much of that with the front shoulder.
As a pitcher, we talk about the front shoulder flying open. Well, the same thing for a hitter. You lose your mechanics, and when you let that front shoulder fly open, then you may be able to pull the inside pitch foul, but you can't stay on a pitch that's away, and it just kind of affects everything. And today's hitters, I think most old timers will tell you they swing too much.
3-2 lifted down the left field line and out of play.
So when you get into a funk, and particularly a guy like Carpenter, who is a workaholic, his theory is if I'm in a rough spot, I'm just going to work that much harder. But you're training your muscles a lot of times in a negative way.
Chris Duncan used to always talk about that. He'd get in a rut and just swing after swing, and then bad habits would develop.
Exactly.
Muscle memory. 3-2 pitch. Spoiled by Carpenter. The Pirates leading in the bottom of the fifth at home against Arizona, 6-3. Cardinals opening up play tonight with the best record in baseball at 76-42, and 6 in front of Pittsburgh, 8 in front of Chicago. Detroit leads the Cubs. It's 5-2. That's in the bottom of the second at Wrigley. 3-2 pitch again. Spoiled again by Carpenter.
Good at bat. No matter what Carpenter does here, he's getting that pitch count up there, and usually when you have an extended bat like this, you're going to get a pretty good pitch you can drive.
Seems like, too, Al, to further your point, that when he'll just hit those little flares down the left field line to stay alive or to stick the bat out, he'll get a ball he turns on and crushes it. You'll see a line drive somewhere to right or up the middle.
The more pitches you see, the more likelihood you're going to get a mistake.
Ooh. Popped it up. 10 pitch at bat for Carpenter. There's Crawford battling the raindrops. And a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal here for Ryan Vogelsong.
We've talked, been around a long time, 37 years of age. He actually was a high prospect in the Giants organization, then went to Pittsburgh, really kind of struggled there, didn't materialize, but he really learned his craft by going to Japan. And then he's come back to the States and actually became an all-star after that. And he's been, his second time with the Giants, much, much better.
When he pitched in Japan, that was in 2007. And there's a strike to Stephen Piscotty. Talked about in the top of the first, the young outfield the Cardinals have utilized 3 rookies with Grichuk, Piscotty, and Pham. Their most since 2005. That year it was Chris Duncan, John Rodriguez, J-Rod, one of Al's favorites, and John Gall. We heard so much about John Gall and it never materialized.
No.
Club also used 5 rookies in the outfield in 1963. And that's up the middle. Base hit past the diving Tomlinson, and a single for Stephen Piscotty. He just keeps on hitting.
He's now hit in 20 of his 25 games with an at bat. And Piscotty, like you say, he's got the home run taken care of over the weekend, his first triple last night, and here a start tonight.
Wallace is in left field, Blanco in center, Maxwell is in right. He was in left field in game 1. Duffy at third, Crawford at short, Tomlinson the second baseman, Belt at first, and Posey behind the plate. That's presented by Dobbs, and here's Johnny Peralta. Buster Posey has been throwing very well this year. Seems like we're always comparing Molina with Posey in terms of all-around game, offense, defense. And Posey has done a very nice job this season. He has caught 40% of base stealers. Way outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Paul told you, Vogelsong, drafted by the Giants 5th round in 1998, made his debut in 2000. He says his parents still have the CD of John Miller, the Hall of Famer, behind the mic calling his major league debut, one of their prized possessions. 2-1.
Dan, I don't want to pick on Vogelsong, but it really kind of, the trade that sent him from the Giants to Pittsburgh really kind of was, you know, an example why Pittsburgh had 20 losing seasons. But he went back in July 30th, 2001. He was traded to Pittsburgh along with Armando Rios for Jason Smith. Remember how good he was, and also John Vanderwall. A very, very good starting pitcher, a great fourth outfielder, you know, pinch hitter coming off the bench. Rios got hurt, I want to say, in about the second game that he played with Pittsburgh, and then Vogelsong really struggled. But those were some of the typical trades they made back there, and one of the reasons why they lost 20 games. But
didn't draft well either.
No, and they drafted a lot of times for affordability. You know, okay, this guy wants this amount, we can sign him for that instead of best players available.
Certainly have to say there was a mistake to give up on Aramis Ramirez at the time. Had some very good years with the Chicago Cubs.
Wow, you and I, we saw those games early in his career, and he was an easy target. He just, you know, he kind of a pudgy body. He just didn't really seem like he hustled, really wanted to be out there, but he turned into a heck of a ball player as he got older and matured. And he had some career numbers against the Cardinals.
Let's see if the Cardinals want to start Piscotty on this 3-2 with one out. There he goes, and Peralta spoils the pitch. Talked with Steven in the clubhouse today before our first pitch, and I asked him, I said, what's the biggest difference you're finding right now from minor league baseball to what you're dealing with now? And he said, just the amount of information you're given. The scouting reports are just incredible. And he said, it's hard for me, a guy that loves to be behind a computer and to study, to remove myself and figure out how much do I take from that and then how much do I see with the naked eye. That fine line.
I think we all know he's smart enough to be able to figure out what that formula is for himself. And
That's
he's
what
done
I
a
told
pretty
him.
good job and a quick study. Also, one of the things you find out here is pitchers are more around the plate. So you know, you can go out there, you don't have the wild throwers that can't control the ball and you fear getting hit. Here they're going to be around the plate and it's easier to hit.
There goes Piscotty again, and the 3-2 is pulled foul. Steven, when he was at Stanford, studied atmosphere and energy engineering. You're saying, okay, what is that? Just like I did. He said it's solar power, wind power, basically anything that does not burn fossil fuel. Began studying business. He said it bored him, and that's why he got into engineering.
Well, I think he's in the right state to utilize that information.
Right now he's in the right business too.
Yes. He could fall back on that hopefully 20 years from now.
3-2 pitch. Piscotty running again. And Peralta hits a fly ball down the right field line. Maxwell is over and makes the catch. What a catch it is. Outstanding play, Justin Maxwell, near the sidewall in right.
Well, you're absolutely right, Dan. A terrific play right there. You looked like it was going to be 5 or 6 rows deep, but just where that cut out area where the stands kind of jettisoned back towards the playing field, and he was running right along that line. So he made a terrific play. It's the first time I've seen him play like that. And, you know, Hunter Pence, as you see how he's running around there, and then he's a big guy, and that's a short wall. You can flip over into the stands really easily. He's checking himself, and then he's prepared for whatever happens when he hits that padded wall. Hunter Pence, by the way, they had an MRI on him today for a oblique strain. So we don't know if he's available.
The dreaded oblique.
Oblique.
Here's Brandon Moss, who's hitting 167 with the Cardinals. If you could add 15 feet for Brandon Moss, he'd have 5 or 6 home runs. Hit one to the track last night, on base 3 times. Here's a 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. It's turned into a long bottom of the first for Vogelsong with 23 pitches.
Mentioned the fact that he actually had made 2 previous starts in Leake's absence on the DL. So it's not that foreign for him to be ready for this assignment on short notice.
2-1. Vogelsong, we saw him in postseason play, shut down the Cardinals. Was the Willie Mack Award winner in 2011 for the Giants and their breakout player of the year. Piscotty, a great jump, swung on and missed by Moss. And Stephen Piscotty, another first, his first stolen base in the major leagues.
Well, he did pick him blind, didn't he? He takes off. Watch here. Takes off, and Vogelsong couldn't step off. So he had to execute his pitch, and no chance at all, but lucky they got the swing and miss. I wonder if that's in the scouting report.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Moss. Shift is on. Taken high and tight. Count runs full. Let's see if Moss can't do some damage right here. 3-2. Draws another walk.
And I think that's important. He had 2 walks last night plus a base hit. Here he walks again. In my mind, that's the first thing to start. Just trying to get some good things happening for yourself at the plate is that you're not swinging pitches out of the zone. You're starting to get your eyes dialed in. So the hits should start coming.
Brings in Molina, hit a long home run last night. His 3rd of the season. He's driven in 44. Runners at first and second with 2 down.
They both find it laughable that it was officially measured at 403 feet as it went past Big Mac land.
I don't get that one. And neither do you.
Oh.
403, huh?
403.
As he hits it into the 3rd deck.
I saw it in several different publications today. 403.
Molina going with that classic look. The Cardinals uniform. It's not a high sock Sunday, but it might as well be for Yachty.
I wonder if any of these players have ever really worn stirrups.
Has the look of a stirrup, but it's painted in the sock. 2-0 the count on Molina. Up the middle. And a flip to Crawford. Tomlinson just got to that baseball and flipped to Crawford for the force. Cardinals strand 2. We played 1 here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Cards and Giants. No score. Season, the Giants and the Cardinals, head-to-head matchups, very evenly matched. And then you take a look at what's happening in tight games this year, most one-run games this season. Cardinals with 46 of those, and it's our BJC Healthcare difference maker. The Cardinals 27 and 19.
And by the way, Giants are 15 and 16.
Posey on the first pitch, grounds to Carpenter. 4 up and 4 down for Lance Lynn.
15 and 16 for the Giants in one-run games after last night's 2-1. How about Lance Lynn? He's thrown 10 pitches and he's gotten 4 outs.
It was interesting last night. The Cardinals did not elect to pitch around Crawford and got burned. And this is a different player than the one we've seen last couple of years. There's Michael Wacha. This young man has now got the bat to match the glove.
Well, and it was a situation where, you know, Mike Matheny trusted Wacha to make a better execution, and instead of having a pitch out there trying to get him to expand his zone, he caught a little bit too much of the plate and made him pay. But you know, if that's the only mistake you make and you only allow 1 run, I'll take my chances. But you're right about Crawford, you know, and his ability this year. Always noted as an excellent glove man, but now with the 19 home runs, 73 RBIs, you know, he leads all shortstops in those departments.
2 balls and 1 strike
in the National.
You think about the core of this run the Giants have had. Buster Posey now in his 6th full season, but 3 World Championships in 5 years behind the plate. And you've got a guy like Crawford up the middle, manning that shortstop position, demanding, just like the catcher. He's been great. You know, they've had key pieces stay here for the most part.
Yeah, you know, Panic is their all-star second baseman on the DL.
And it's a 1-out walk. This is the kind of guy that you would really go after in years past, in talking about Brandon Crawford with what he's done at the plate, but not so much this year in the top 10 of RBIs. You see the defensive run saved, the key sabermetric stat, 18 of those.
Well, he was going to be in the lineup every day because of his glove, but now when he starts matching it with his bat and production, you know, then you get a complete player.
He has 4 stolen bases this year. He's been caught 4 times. The Giants in the wild card hunt. 3 games back of the Dodgers in the West, 4 behind the Cubs for the 2nd wild card spot in the National League. The Cubs currently in a rain delay with Detroit leading 5-2 at Wrigley. Pittsburgh has added a run. They're in the bottom of the 6th at PNC Park, and it's 7-3 Pirates over Arizona. Outfield is straight away. Another check on Crawford. The Giants have dropped 5 straight road games as Crawford calls time to tuck in the jersey. They've been outscored 24-14 in those games. Remember, they were swept by Chicago in a 4-game set at Wrigley.
They're 1 game under 500 for the year. And I know, talking to some of the people associated with the Giants in that Chicago series, Bochy's bullpen was just worn out, and it really caught up to them. Weren't getting deep starts from the starters, and they were on fumes. But as we said last night, Bumgarner helped out, National League Player of the Week, you know, with a couple starts where 2 complete games, only allowing 1 run, and that kind of revived the bullpen. So they feel like they're in pretty good shape, but they probably need a deep start tonight by Vogelsong.
0-2 the count. Lynn would love the double play right here. No balls, 2 strikes. This Cardinals pitching has been remarkable. 1 run allowed in the ball game last night. Overall, the Cardinals and ERA combined, starters and bullpen, 2.75. The best since the 1972 Baltimore Orioles.
Even Lance with that last outing took a little beating on his ERA, but still 2.95 coming in. And he's better than that when pitching at home.
Two and two the count. Crawford a slightly bigger lead at first. He is not running, and it's a double play ball. Tricky hop to Wong for 6-3. Nicely done. The double play started by Colton Wong. Midway through 2, no score. Moved last night, the sore hamstring. With more on that, let's check in with Jim Hayes.
Yeah, Dan gave Cardinal fans quite the scare last night when he was lifted with left hamstring tightness. Mike Matheny says they're continuing to keep an eye on Hayward, but after team doctors put him through a bunch of tests, it appears it's just cramping. Matheny says Hayward had done a ton of work before yesterday's game, and Hayward's issue might have been a result of dehydration. Mike says Hayward took an IV today, and they're thinking Hayward is dealing with a short-term thing. Danny, that's good news.
Yeah, and he dealt with that earlier this year, correct?
Yeah, he had some dehydration issues where he needed the IVs, but Mike doesn't think this is really a continuation of that. It's just something they're going to have to keep an eye on. Mike said, you know, with all the things out there that it could have been, they're happy with this because, again, they're thinking at this point a short-term issue.
All right, thank you, Jim. No balls, 2 strikes on Colton Wong. That was not an easy hop for Wong to handle on that hard hit ball to start the double play.
You're exactly right. Very tricky, right at, you know, the bounce right in front of him and came up on him. But he did a nice job and helped complete the double play.
You would know this better than so many, Al. When you're a closer, you've got to say goodbye to the good games and the bad games, and Colton Wong had to say goodbye to Sunday.
Exactly right. You know, if you can play this game, you're going to have highs. But what you have to do is maintain a certain level. You know, you just can't get too high or too low. But watch this hop right here. Right when it gets on, comes up into the bread basket, but he stays with it. And, you know, I always say, Dan, that, you know, before you leave the ball game, you're thinking positive things about tomorrow night. You got to be able to just push it aside and go out there and, you know, challenge yourself to be better, even if it's just a revenge.
Popped up on the infield, and Crawford wants it for the out. I was asking Rick Horton the other day. I said, what did Whitey tell you guys when he would come out and take the ball from you, especially if you were a starter? And there's the broken bat from Colton Wong. And he said Whitey was always positive. He said, okay, start thinking Mets next Tuesday or whatever the case may be, but always thinking ahead of something positive most of the time.
Most of the time. You have to be, that wears so many hats. When you're a mom, a dad, a priest, a confidant, a psychologist, psychiatrist from my case. But I can honestly say a lot of times when they came out there, I never heard a word what the manager said because I was already mad at myself. If I was doing my job, he wouldn't be here. So you almost feel like, okay, if he's coming out here, it's like, well, I failed.
0-1 now to Mark Reynolds. Outfield is deep. Reynolds breaks his bat. And there's Tomlinson. 2 down. And it brings in Tommy Pham with 2 outs and nobody on. 6 is a serious number at on the run. When the Cardinals score 6, any size drink just 50 cents the next day. Coffee fountain, frozen drinks. When they score, you pour at your nearest on the run. You earned it. Pham is hitting 170. Was recalled from Memphis when Grichuk went on the DL prior to yesterday's game and then was thrust right into action. Jason Hayward hurt in that first at bat, and then Pham was in center field.
He was 0 for 3 in last night's ball game, and it makes sense. Get him back out there. He'd been playing every day down at the AAA level, so get him out there and take advantage of maybe being a hot hitter.
Here's a 1-1. Pham jumps on that pitch. A hanger out to left, and it is caught. Lawless, nice play out in left field to take a hit away from Tommy Pham. 1-2-3 go the Cardinals. The home half of the second. Third inning rolls in when we come back. On Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by, if the Cardinals throw 9 strikeouts, get a free Monster Taco with any purchase tomorrow at Jack in the Box. And Infinity. Visit your local area Infinity retailer for a test drive today. Celebrating the 1985 nationally champion Cardinals. And in the house today with his bobblehead, Terry Lee Landrum, also known as Tito. Tito Landrum is here.
First time I met Tito, he was working security at Moss Brothers store in St. Petersburg, Florida.
He was signed as a amateur free agent in 1972. Made his debut at the Cardinals in 1980 and really made a nice name for himself in postseason play.
And a great postseason. Classy young man.
He was with the Baltimore Orioles in 1983, and the 1985 Cardinals had a couple of home runs in that playoff run for St. Louis. Tito Landreau.
And we're talking about Ryan Lawless here at the plate. He's from Houston, but he attended Mizzou. And they tell me that every stop he made in the minor leagues, you know, he always hit. Took him a while to get to the big leagues. As you know, he was the Giants' 37th selection back in 2009.
Here's a 2-2. You were very young when you made your major league debut. Was there a guy that you faced or that you were around that you were saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is a guy I grew up watching or listening to Vince Scully describe on the radio?
Well, I was, you know, I signed in '69 and I made, you know, in June of '69 and June of '70 I was in the big leagues. So I, you know, in a sense, being in California, but I saw the Cardinals 64, 67, 68, you know, in the World Series. And right after I signed, I did, you know, work out with the Cardinals at Dodger Stadium. So in one sense,
pitches popped up. Fair territory, long.
You know, I felt like I knew those guys a little bit, you know, and if anything, you were in awe of them. But,
Bob Gibson.
Yeah, and Bob was the biggest influence on my playing career. And it wasn't always what he said to me, but what he said, and I would be all ears and listening. And then I also got a lot of, you know, rookies are to be seen, not to be heard. Shut the blankety blank up, you know, which was good advice.
I can't imagine if Bob Gibson, in the prime of his career, came strolling down the dugout and decided to give you an earful as Maxwell is hit by the pitch.
I got Yachty too. He got the carom off of Maxwell, like on the arm or something. He's bent over himself.
So with one out, Maxwell will take the bag at first, and it brings in Ryan Vogelsong. Krispy Kreme doesn't deal. Cardinals get 9 hits tonight. You're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow to receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $3.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kreme locations for this sensational deal. Reynolds will be holding the runner at first base. Carpenter cheating in at third. On the grass is Vogelsong, squares, and that's strike one. That may have caught Molina too.
That's how they're going to get.
It's one way to get him out of here, huh? He's bent over right now. I think that may have caught his foot. Outfield very shallow. Vogelsong asking him if he's all right. Let's see where it caught him.
Around the foot or ankle, right? Hard to see on that one, but
Maxwell with 2 steals this year. He's been caught 1 time. Teams just do not run against Yadier Molina. Only 44 attempts this season against Yadier.
Well, that's it. You know, he just shuts down the running game.
Bunt is down. Reynolds will toss it to Wong. And advancing on the play, Maxwell to second base.
There'll be catchers in the league that will have more thrown outs than Yadier Molina caught stealing, but they probably will have 3 or 4 times the chances.
First time the Giants have had a runner in scoring position, and it brings in Gregor Blanco. Blanco grounded out sharply to short first time up.
Apparently Blanco got the message that his bunt last night wasn't a smart idea.
The situation was a runner at third, a runner at first, and only one out.
Right. And the runner at third had no idea he was going to try and drop down a bunt, which he popped up and got he caught in foul territory, and all of a sudden you saw how the Cardinals were going to escape.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. And a fly ball lifted into shallow left. Brandon Moss puts it away.
That would have been a run last time.
Lynn, Carpenter, Piscotti coming up. Stay with us, young man. Three-game set with San Francisco. The Cardinals' best record in the game at 76-42. Game number 119 tonight. 6 in front of Pittsburgh. 8 in front of Chicago. That's a look at your DirecTV National League Central standings.
Cardinals had a good record, road record, but how about their 45-18 at home? I mentioned San Francisco, you know, they're one game under 500 on the road.
Here's Lance Lynn, who enjoyed a 9-pitch first inning. Quite the contrast from his previous start, which was 41 pitches to get 2 outs and then was lifted in the game. It's Lynn here, and then Carpenter and Piscotti. No score from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The lone hit for the Cardinals, and that was Piscotti with a base hit into center.
See 5 clubs in the National League, including the Cardinals, with a winning record on the road. No one in the Western Division of the National League has a winning record on the road. Even the Dodgers, who lead the Giants by 3, are 6 games under 500 on the road.
The 1-2, and Lynn strikes out. First strikeout for Ryan Vogelsong. 2015 Cardinals Hall of Fame induction show. Forsch, Simmons, Flood, Kissel. Fox Sports Midwest has exclusive coverage. If you missed the debut of the show last night, you can catch it again tonight. It's brought to you by your Mid-America Chevy dealers. After the game right here on Fox Sports Midwest.
Nice job, partner.
Thank you. What an honor it is to be up there and to see that.
Boy,
take great pride in that.
The Cardinals have so many great players to choose from. And that was a very, very deserving class, as was the very first one.
I thought the crowd was there for Ted Simmons primarily. lot of family and friends for Forsch and Flood and Kissel, and I thought Bob's daughters delivered a tremendous speech. But boy, the emotion and the ovation that Ted Simmons got, in a way, kind of a forgotten man to an extent. With the great run the Cardinals have had and the great run in the 80s and the 60s, but in there, as you know, the 70s, some near close calls of getting teams into postseason play, but they didn't.
Well, I tell you, I bristle at times when people talk about, oh, the wasted 70s.
Some good teams
there were some very good teams. It was a different era. You know, ownership really wasn't trying to produce a winner. And, you know, I mean, we were close, like you said, a couple times, but
Carpenter, a swing and a miss, and he strikes out. 2 in a row for Vogelsong. Now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag MWDataStrongFan. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Piscotty with the single back in the first inning. It's now 4 straight games he's hit in, and 20 of 26 to start his big league career.
Yeah, it just seems like he's getting more and more consistent. You know, he's very confident. We knew he was going to, you know, do well, but and a lot of young players, you know, obviously you want to get to the big leagues as soon as you possibly can, but you really don't want to come up here until you have a defined role. Whether you're going to play every day or you're one of the late inning guys in that bullpen or in the rotation.
I think we've heard about all these great names the Cardinals have had, and to their credit, they have not rushed the guys like Rosenthal and Siegrist and Martinez, Wong to an extent. Piscotty now.
Well, you know, you don't rush them, but they're like 23, 24 years of age.
But they season them.
Yes.
You know, they come up here and they're ready to go.
And it just bodes well for the future, too. Keep the run continuing.
Stephen was saying you feel a part of the team even though you haven't been all year, even when you come up to the big leagues because of spring training. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Vogelsong strikes out the side here in the third. Our break, the Giants began their turnaround. 22-12 since then. The runs per game up along with their average. Runners with scoring position. The home runs slightly up as well. A team that averages close to 5 runs a game on the road, and the #1 offense right now in terms of average in the National League.
And they've had their fair share of injuries also.
Here's Matt Duffy. think a really interesting look at what may happen with the San Francisco Giants after this year is Tim Lincecum. Lincecum, a free agent to be. This pitch is popped up into shallow right, and Piscotty in foul territory, calling off Colton Wong for the out.
Well, what's going to hurt Lincecum is, how bad are those hips? He's going to have to pitch to prove that he can stay healthy, and maybe is his days in the rotation a thing of the past. He doesn't throw as hard as he used to, but how can you if you don't have a base?
He is loved, maybe more than any other player with the Giants, by that fan base. It'd be hard to imagine him with anybody else, but I think the key is what you said, Al. He's got to prove not only he can pitch for the Giants, but anybody else too.
Right.
Brandon Belt struck out his first time up. Lynn has walked one. That was erased on a double play back in the second. He hit a man. That was Justin Maxwell back in the third, and he was left stranded. Here's the 0-1.
And you think about, athletes, you always talk about knee injuries. Then you started seeing, catchers as they gotten older and started having hip replacements. That's becoming kind of a common thing now. These players having hips
that need work on.
Yeah, Borges, Moss.
I think the oblique has become.
The oblique? I mean, we never heard of that.
No, it seems like you hear it all the time in hockey. Now you're hearing it a little bit more in baseball. 2-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The next from Lynn. Francisco Liriano made the start tonight for the Pirates. They lead 8-3. That's in the 7th. Gung and Marte both have homered.
Like the D-backs are threatening. They have the bases loaded. It's 8-4 now. And nobody out. They're getting late in that game.
Another 2-2, and he doesn't get the call. He did in the first at bat with Belt. Brandon didn't like it, had words with the home plate umpire.
Go off the plate. One of those situations where Yachty just sets up so far outside, but it looks like the pitcher hits a spot if you're not fooling the umpire.
3-2. That time he got him. Let's watch Belt here. That's the second time tonight on the outside corner.
Well, you keep on going out there, and if you hit your spot, eventually you convince the umpire that it is a strike, but clearly a ball.
Third strikeout of the night for Lynn, and it brings in Buster Posey.
And you can feel for Brandon Belt, plate 17 inches, not 24.
Posey has had very good numbers here at Busch Stadium in his career. 2 home runs and a .436 average. Grounded out to third his first time up.
He was 4 for 13 with a home run off of Lance Lynn coming into action tonight.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Posey gave it a ride in the final out last night that was caught up against the wall by Peter Borges. He was asked after the game, did you get it? He said, I got everything except about maybe just a little wee bit I didn't get, and it cost me. He said maybe 5% of the ball I didn't get.
Mike Matheny was talking about that Derek Lilliquist immediately said he didn't get it. He didn't get it. But Mike kind of said he thought he did too.
What'd you think? You were in between.
I'm a pitcher. No way.
Did he get this one? Deep center. Pham. He's got it up against the wall. Tommy Pham on the track up against the wall and takes a hit away from Buster Posey. Nicely done by Tommy Pham. Very good athlete. Ranging out there in left center. No score midway through 4. No score, bottom of 4 rolls in, and we check in with Jim Hayes with more on Tommy Pham.
Yeah, we just saw Tommy make a really nice defensive play. He got off to a pretty good offensive start in his earlier call-up this season, then cooled off a bit. He told me the biggest challenge for him is, as he put it, knowing the plate. He said more pitchers in the big leagues can throw balls that start on the plate and run off it, so he's adjusting. He may be better equipped to see those balls this time around. He told me as soon as he was sent back down to Memphis, he got new contacts. His old ones had warped, and Dan, he was on fire in Memphis, so apparently the new contacts did the trick.
All right, thank you, Jim. Here is Johnny Peralta. Such a good athlete, Tommy Pham, and it was unfortunate we didn't see a full spring training for him. You look at the first week, granted the first week of spring training, but he was the best player for the Cardinals.
Yeah, he was on fire, really swinging the bat well, and then he got the first of the dreaded quad injuries. 3 different quad injuries for the Cardinals this year.
2 balls, no strikes.
And Tommy Pham, missed most of spring training in April and May of the season, so.
Vogelsong struck out the side in the bottom of the 3rd. Yeah, you watch him pitch. It's not great stuff. It's not overpowering, but boy, he just gets the job done, doesn't he?
Well, I was talking to Kruko, and he said that he's got good enough stuff to win. And there was a period of time where maybe he even doubted his ability, and was, even at this level, guys will go through periods of time where they lose their confidence. And it's the old statement, you got to trust your stuff. Some people don't understand that, but people are trying to tell you is you got good enough stuff to get people out if you're aggressive. But when you start getting timid and you start to make perfect pitches, it's ball 1. Then you say, I'm behind the count, I've got to be even finer, it's ball 2. And then when you're pitching behind like that, then the hitters are just, their eyes are lighting up, because now you've got to come into them, and they also are the best in the business.
Here's a 3-2 pitch to Peralta. Peralta out to center. Blanco is back. He'll look up, and it's off the wall. Almost a home run for Johnny Peralta. Leadoff double here in the home half of the 4th. Peralta has just crushed right-handed pitching this year to the tune of a .294 average. Slightly lower against the lefties. May have gotten a little topspin on that one, but initially off the bat, I thought that was gone.
I did too, and when you talk about that topspin, it does kind of keep the ball in the ballpark, and it almost will just, at the end of it, just kind of dive on you instead of carrying.
Well, if there's anybody due, it is Brandon Moss. At least wants to move Peralta from second to third. And Moss hits it high in the air into shallow center. That's the second baseman Tomlinson who puts it away. The AT&T U-verse rewind. Take you back to last night and Yadier Molina's home run. Just to the left of Big Mac land if you're facing it. Whoa, he said. AT&T U-verse rewind.
Impressed himself, didn't he?
I don't blame him.
I don't either.
That was a blast.
It went that far, brag about it.
Fourth plate appearance for the Cardinals tonight with a man in scoring position. There's a bird behind home plate playing with fire right now. Foul ball, wild pitch.
Good grass seed down there.
It's being scooped up instead of flying away. Here's a 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike on Molina.
And you talk about the satisfaction that Yadi got from last night's home run. The pitch before, the pitch that was up and in. And no hitter likes to have a pitch up there that, you know, gets away from a pitcher a little bit. But it got him thinking inside, and so he was looking for the ball there, opened up a little quicker and was ready for it, and kept it fair for the long home run.
1-1 hit out of play. You may have noticed Molina has opened up his stance a little bit more here last week or so. It picks up that front foot. A lot of timing into that swing. Yadi is a great guess hitter too. You know, when he decides to go after it, more times than not, he makes that decision before a pitch and then just unleashes the bat.
I'll add a little additional to that statement.
1-2.
Educated guess hitter.
Thinking along with the pitcher.
You know, that's one of the real advantages you have, that, you know, when you call an excellent game, you kind of see the patterns that a little easier than other hitters, because you're accustomed to, you know, trying not to fall into a pattern.
Talked to Bruce Bochy about that. Said catchers have a huge advantage in managing, in his mind. Experience in handling a pitching staff, the different personalities. Also, you see the whole field too.
Right. You're the one guy that sees the whole field. And you're one guy that's involved in so many of the decisions, and you can guess along with, but you're an extension of the coaching staff. And I think, you know, that's why there's more managers that are former catchers than any other position.
2-2 is a foul ball. Now, Bruce Bochy was primarily a backup catcher with Houston, the Mets, the Padres, and he told me that much of that time was not wasted. He said he used to try to manage along with his manager at the time and then ask the coaching staff about strategy and why they were doing various things. And he's proven to be one of the best.
He's going to go in the Hall of Fame.
Here's a 2-2. Taken low. Good at bat here by Yadier Molina. Count runs full.
Dan, am I way off in my next statement? You know, Bruce Bochy's going to go in the Hall of Fame for what he's accomplished, you know, with the 3 world championships in the last 5 years. But Mike Matheny replaces the legend in Tony La Russa. But you can make the case that Tony's never been on a run like Mike Matheny is in his first 4 years.
Molina grounds at the second. You think about 2004 was a great team. 05 back-to-back 100-win seasons, and then 06 they win the world championship, and then 07 was really a down year. So agreed, and trying to do it after a championship team and then following what many consider to be the preeminent manager of his time.
And I will say this too, that Mike Matheny, when he walked into that clubhouse first time, had the respect of the players for what he's accomplished on the field and everything, but he also inherited an extremely, you know, conscientious and team-oriented core of players that really, you know, believed in Mike, believed in what his and his coaching staff wants, but they told any newcomers or any kids coming up that, hey, we got a good thing going. This is how it's done. This is the way Mike Matheny runs things, and we believe in it. So if you want to be a part of it, you make the adjustments to do it the way Mike and his coaching staff want it.
And I'll counter that, not counter, but add to it. Mike, you know, he fell into a position where a lot of good young players are coming up too.
Sure,
and that's part of it.
But he's, you know, under his guidance and leadership.
Sure,
you know, and I think we can all say too that, you know, he is a type of manager that he will take blame. No blame goes to his players. You know.
0-1 pitch and a fly ball into center. So the Cardinals get a leadoff double by Peralta. He's left stranded, and we played 4. No score from Busch Stadium. Rick Horton, that changed the complexion of that series, did it not?
Absolutely.
Ooh.
You know.
Thank you, Ricky.
Giants, but particularly Jeffrey Leonard calling St. Louis Cowtown and all the things was having his way until Bob Force decided to run one up and in, and all of a sudden it changed that series. That was the veteran in Bob Force.
46 pitches. That's it so far for Lance Lynn, starting inning number 5. He walked Crawford back in the second inning. That's fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Hey, Dan, we got another close ball game.
Here we go again.
Here we go again.
The reason why, the Cardinals have won so many of these close games, their bullpen has been really good this year.
And there's just whoever you plucked out of there has been outstanding. Even the kids that got sent back down to Memphis when Cishak and Broxton came up.
Sokolovic,
they didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at their numbers, they should still be here, but it's just part of being on a championship caliber team.
2-1 hit out of play, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And those guys will get their day. They'll be back. They'll help contribute.
Famous picture in the San Francisco Chronicle in the early 1990s, a kid by the name of Brandon Crawford at a rally to save the Giants from moving to Tampa Bay. Grew up a Giants fan, and now he's playing for them. Giants were saved. They signed Barry Bonds, built their new beautiful ballpark, and the rest is history. That ballpark, one of our favorites.
Yes, it is. We'll see it on the next road trip.
3-2 lifted down the left field line. Long way to go for Moss, and he can't come up with it. And Crawford trots into second base.
I'm sure he talked to Brandon Moss that he say he should have had that ball, but long run into the corner, the wall coming up upon you, and we'll see into the glove, but can't hold on to it.
It's ruled a hit, and the first hit of the night for the San Francisco Giants. As this game goes on, it'll be interesting, the pressure that's put on a scorekeeper if Lynn can put up some zeros in that hits department for the Giants.
Well, let's just shut them down right here, and let's find out the answer to that question.
The strike to Kelby Tomlinson. I know it's a tough play, but that play's got to be made. Not easy at all. But
no, and that comes with the territory. A little bit maybe playing out of position, but as you said, and just a tough play, but at this level has to be made, and I'm sure Brandon Moss would be the first one to tell you that he should have made it.
1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second is Crawford. It's been a tough night already for Brandon. He did walk his first time up, but in the bottom of the 4th, after a leadoff double by Peralta, Moss could not advance him to third. As he popped out into shallow center.
What made that play more difficult too for Brandon Moss is coming off the bat of a left-hander. Is going to be slicing away from you into the corner. And I think if we say if you get there and it goes off your glove, you've got to hold on to it.
Here's a 1-2. The 2-2. Check swing and a strikeout. Fourth strikeout tonight for Lance Lynn. September 4th, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive a replica 1967 World Series champions ring. One of a kind replica has a detachable base, wearable for you. And tickets are available for September 4th at Cardinals.com/promotions. So a leadoff double for the Giants. And Crawford still standing at second base. Now Lawless. Ground ball taken there by Reynolds. 2 down as Crawford advances to third.
Here you are, Dan, the situation. You got the 8th place hitter coming up. Vogelsong on deck. You got 2 outs, and they're just going to go ahead and put him on. A lot of times Mike Matheny doesn't like to do this, and he just has the confidence that his starter can either pitch around, knowing that, if you eventually walk him, it's fine, but now he's going to take it out of the hands of Lance Lynn, and it's up to Vogelsong to come through.
Vogelsong sacrificed his first time up, hitting 129 at the start of play tonight. So runners at the corners with 2 down. Want a great deal on Cardinals tickets? Fill up at Phillips 66 with 8 gallons or more now until September 24th. Receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more info, visit Cardinals.com/Phillips66. Our official score right now, a little hot under the collar maybe, and getting a little flush. 2 outs and 2 on. It has happened before.
Change?
Oh, sure.
Sometimes change could be made after we leave the ballpark, too. You have what until the next day, the next start of the game.
One ball, 1 strike. Cardinals will have 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup coming up. Reynolds, Pham, and Lance Lynn. Lynn has struck out 4. He's given up 1 hit. He's hit a man and walked a man. 2 balls, 1 strike. Home plate umpires also our crew chief tonight, Hunter Wendelstedt. Mike Everett at first. David Rackley at second. Bob Davidson is at third. The 2-1. Now 2-2.
Finish him off with this pitch. Don't take it full.
080 hitter with runners in scoring position.
If you want the win, you have to retire this guy.
And he does. Strikeout number 5, 2 in the inning. The Giants strand 2. Bottom of 5 rolls in when we come back. The scoreless ball game. average in the National League by rookies since the All-Star break. Odubel Herrera of the Phillies, Stephen Piscotty, Matt Duffy, and Jung Ho Gung of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Enter the promo code CARDS. They're DraftKings players to watch. Stephen Piscotty with a base hit tonight, one of 2 Cardinal hits. And there is no score here in St. Louis.
Reynolds 0 for his last 9. Coming in, did hit 300 for the homestand, and it looks like he needs to change bats.
I stole Al's pen and he went into a panic. But it's back in your loving hands, Al. You've got your pen back. No issues here, right?
Perfect.
Perfect. Good.
Perfect.
That's what I like to hear.
Friendship's intact.
Excellent. And a strike to Reynolds, and we're underway here in the home half of the 5th. They just posted up on the board that the Diamondbacks have tied it up against Mark Melanson in the 9th. Here by Gung. A hit, a walk, and now tied up 8-8. Melanson has been perfect, literally perfect this year in terms of save opportunities.
Well, it just goes to show you too, how tough it is to go through an entire year, and you're dependent on your defense. Opens the floodgates a little bit. There's 2 outs, and Goldschmidt is the runner at third base, so it could be a fun night.
That swung on and missed as Reynolds strikes out. Number 4 for Vogelsong. Note the start time. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. Will come your way at 5:30. Matt Cain, Jaime Garcia. If you have a ticket, 6:15 with our first pitch, 5:30 the pregame show, in our Budweiser What's on Tap.
And 1 loss, and the ERA doesn't look right for Matt Cain, does it?
Really trying to just battle back from the various injuries he's had, and it's been a long road for him.
And the only way you get better is you see Matt Cain is to go out there and pitch and build up the arm strength.
Tommy Pham earlier in this game, a fabulous catch in center field.
Hit the ball really well the first time up. Drive all the way to the wall. Nice play by Lawless out there to make the catch.
Watching tonight, D.C. Wilcutt, one of the great high school basketball coaches, now 91 years young, watching with his son Dan and never misses a game. D.C. at CBC High School and one of the great coaches ever in the state of Missouri. Hope you're enjoying baseball tonight. 3-1 on Tommy Pham. Big gap in left center. Pham, a big swing and a miss. As he flied to left his first time up, and it's 3-2.
Vogelsong has pitched well tonight. They say that third time through the order is when he really starts, the averages start going up.
And Pham with a fly ball into right field, backing up Maxwell to make the catch. I was thinking about all these tight games the Cardinals have been in, Al, and that might be the best way to get prepared for postseason play, because majority of those games are those nail biters and 1-run games and late games.
Well, it prepares you for the postseason. But the one question I have is at times we get shut down by what I would say is not your upper echelon pitching that you're probably going to see in postseason.
Good point.
But the Cardinals have had to play with the pressure, particularly the pitchers. Have not a lot of run support, and you have to say that they've been very, very good at weathering the mental aspects of those games. You don't hear any complaints. The guys sitting there going, you can't score us any runs, blah, blah, blah. That's the worst thing that can happen for a clubhouse, and I know it's the last thing that will happen in the Cardinals clubhouse.
Here's a 1-1 to Lynn. 1-2. I keep harping on it, but the official score right now is saying, please, Giants, just give me one hit. I don't care how it is. Clean. No argument.
He may be saying that, but I hope he doesn't get his wish. Or your wish. But it does taint it, a potential no-hitter a little bit when you have a scoring play change because it's the only hit. That's why you always say, either it's a hit or it's not. But a lot of times they say it has to be a clean hit before you score the very first one. And there's the one play right there, scored a double. And we say at this level that has to be made, and I think Brandon Moss would tell you, yeah, it's a tough play, but it's the big leagues.
2-2. Last hit for the Cardinals was a leadoff double in the fourth by Johnny Peralta. He was stranded. The Cardinals have stranded 3 so far tonight in this scoreless ball game. Diving stop. Tomlinson with time and makes the play. We head to the 6th, and there's no score. The Cardinals pitching 2.58, then New York, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. Arcia in the driver's seat. Mark Melancon, by the way, Blues save opportunity back on the 21st. And since that time, there's the 21st of April, 35 for 35. He's given up 3 earned in his last 6 games, 1 earned in the previous 43. Love the drink run with any size, any flavor McCafe shake for just $1.99 only at McDonald's.
And Lynn will start throwing his 3rd time through the order. It'll be the same for Vogelsong when the Cardinals bat. But It's the difference with a lot of starters. The difference between going through that order 3 or 4 times versus 1 or 2. That's what separates really the long reliever spot starter from the rotation guy.
So the top of the lineup: Blanco, Duffy, and Belt. Lynn has struck out 5 tonight. There you go. There's your clean hit. Second hit tonight for San Francisco.
How many people are mad at you right now?
Why?
For willing that leadoff base hit, clean hit?
No, I said the official scorer was hoping for that.
Oh.
Start to feel the heat. Yeah, you might want to take a look at that. What do you think? Regardless, now clean hit. Cardinals turn to double play back in the second inning. Here's Matt Duffy, who's 0 for 2. He has struck out and fly to right.
Talk to the people associated with the Giants. They really love Matt Duffy. One of the highest compliments I think they can say was when they compare him. He's their version of Matt Carpenter. Kid that loves to play the game, comes ready every day. 2 guys that just play it, and Duffy just getting his career started.
Lee with that swing, 2-1. A lot of late swings tonight against Lance Lynn. Hear the term gym rat. These guys are baseball rats. Always at the ballpark, always trying to improve.
Playing third base, both of them kind of slender built.
Runner goes, and a base hit into left field. Blanco stopping at second base. Back-to-back hits to start the 6th inning.
Cardinal pitching has been very good too, Dan. When they get guys in scoring position, guys kind of find the way to get out of these little jams. Ball down and in, and he just turns on it.
Belt 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. And a fly ball lifted out to right field. Piscotty. You can hear them screaming from here. Throw to 2, throw to 2. And tagging up Blanco from second to third. And now you've got Buster Posey, runners at the corners, and only 1 down.
That's another aspect about Piscotty is he has a strong arm. Remember, originally signed as the third baseman. They put him in right field. The Cardinals had 3 different first basemen at that time. Kelly became a catcher. Wisdom stays at third. Piscotty goes to right. But Piscotty, had one of the strongest arms in the minor leagues. And it just looks like he knows how to play the game very well.
Buster Posey, flied out to deep left center, is also grounded out. I mentioned earlier Piscotty talking about, because of spring training, being in a major league clubhouse, invited to the major league camp, you feel like you belong once you get here.
And that's a great point. And it really helps. It's a reward for the kids to get invited to the major league camp, but then they get to see how the big leaguers, how they act, how they work out, how they do different things. And it really does prepare them. They feel like they are a part of the club. They feel like they have built and forged relationships. When they do come up, and they don't feel like that you're a foreigner in your own clubhouse.
1-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Posey with 16 home runs. He has driven in 78 this year.
And Brandon Crawford on deck. He's walked and hit a double, but you do have a base open. And you see what Buster Posey, how he's got those 78 RBIs with that high average with runners in scoring position.
Third best in the National League. Trying to get him to chase, and I think at this point they may just do that and deal with Crawford.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is make a 3-1 mistake. If you, even though Crawford is a good hitter and he's second on the team with RBIs, you don't want to give a good hitter that cripples pitch on a 3-1 count. Burn you.
Big pitch in this game, the 3-1, and it's taken low. Third walk, one of those intentional, bases loaded for Crawford.
Not the worst thing that could have happened, but you got to get the next hitter out.
Inning started with a base hit to center by Blanco. Then Duffy a base hit to left. Belton fly to right. Blanco tagged up. Walk to Posey. And the bases loaded here in the top of the sixth with one out. And Brandon Crawford doubled off the glove of Moss in the corner and left, and has also walked tonight. He is grounded into 10 double plays this year. Slowly hit left side. Only play to go to first, and a run does score.
You're looking for a ground ball, but got it right off the end of the bat. It looked, and just the only play for Carpenter was one he had at first base. They score first. There you see he comes charging in. There's no play at the plate. The only one at first base. So they break the scoreless tie, put runners at second and third, but you get the second out. Now you got to get Tollinson.
Oh for 2 tonight. Rounded into a 4-6-3 double play in the second to end the top of that inning. Then struck out swinging in the fifth. Tomlinson not only plays in the major leagues, but April 15th, very popular as he'll help you during tax season.
It's from Elgin, Oklahoma, attended Texas Tech University.
And a fly ball lifted out to left field. Moss is back, and he's got it. Gave it a ride. The Giants pick up the first run of the ball game. Midway through 6, 1-0 San Francisco. app is personalized just for you. Now with the StubHub app, you can select your favorite teams and artists and discover new ones too. Start at StubHub and let the fun find you. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. Well, the signs are out for Hunter Pence. Everywhere he goes, unique signs specifically for Hunter Pence. It's Carpenter, Piscotty, and Peralta. Carpenter had a 10-pitch at bat in the first and then eventually popped out to short and struck out in the third when Vogelsong struck out the side. 4 Ks tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Third time through the order for Vogelsong, and see if the Cardinals can do some damage. First 5 innings, just 2 hits allowed.
Pulled foul.
Struggled against the Cardinals in the regular season, 2-6 with an ERA over 6. 2-0 with a 3.18 in 3 postseason starts against St. Louis.
Aroldis Chapman with a blown save tonight. He was 24 of 25 this season. 15 in a row. Ben Zobrist, a leadoff home run in the 9th off of Chapman. Kansas City tied with Cincinnati 1-1. That's in the top of the 11th. But the Royals 12.5 game lead at the start of play tonight.
Sometimes that's not good. You have that big a lead and you aren't playing the pressure games down the stretch.
I think that's what baseball recognized too, is that the teams that win the wild card get hot. They roll into the playoffs hot, and a way to reward those that win their divisions and penalize, if you want to call it that, the wild card winners, is to play the play-in game.
I agree.
3-2.
I can remember in 1978 with Kansas City, and that was the year about this point in the season where the Boston Red Sox had about a 15-game lead over the Yankees, and the Royals were winning. It looked like we were going to go to postseason again. So in your mind, you felt like you were going to face the Red Sox, and remember that was the Bucky Dent play-in game where he hit the home run off of Mike Torres, and the next day they're in Royal Stadium playing the Royals. They just knew it was another team they had to win, another game.
Strikeout number 5 for Vogelsong.
He gets Carpenter. Look at the ball run away. Swings at a pitch off the plate, but the ball seemed to be in the strike zone and then just ran outside.
Here's Piscotty, 1 for 2. Jim reported the other day that Matt Adams Thursday would head to Florida, and not too far behind him would be Matt Holliday. There's a look at Matt Adams, who's been running. Get some live swings going, some of those at bats.
I was giving a lot of credit to Adam Olson, the Cardinals rehab trainer, working with those guys, and you see him during the game, but you don't see all the work when we're on the road or prior to a game, what they do.
1 ball, 2 strikes. First got hurt, thought it was far-fetched that he would be back this year.
Exactly.
And if he did come back, it wouldn't be until very late September. John Jay with us last night, saying that his return could be at some point early to mid-September.
Remember, his quad was torn off the bone. So to see him doing that, looks pretty impressive.
John Jay has been fielding and throwing and running, but for him it's all about the wrist. Randall Grichuk will miss 15 to 20 games. He probably would need to go on a tear in that final month to have a shot to win Rookie of the Year.
I would think that he has no chance now.
Really?
Yep. He was going to, he was going to have to keep that pace going, and then he just missed too much time and too many other qualified candidates.
One of them right here, Matt Duffy, the third baseman of the Giants, Jock Peterson, Chris Bryant.
I think Peterson, his bubble has burst. Got off to the start, but 220 the average doesn't do much for me.
2-2 is a broken bat on a hop to short. Crawford. Brandon Crawford, by the way, and there's a measurement for everything, is the hardest thrower from short in baseball at 80 miles per hour. He's got a very good arm. Follow the Cardinals with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, and more. Get it for your smartphone or tablet.
I find that interesting. I would have assumed it would have been a lot harder.
I believe that's the average. Sometimes they take a look at Molina's, and Molina's in the 90s, which doesn't surprise anybody.
No. And is it fair to judge a guy when he just not lobs it over there, but when he has a sure out and doesn't really air it out?
And I think the idea is just to say, hey, he's got a pretty good arm. And we've seen that a couple of times here last night and again tonight. 0-1 pitch to Peralta. And it is the average at 80 miles an hour. This is out number 2 and a strike to first. She let it fly. Rising stars face off as elite featherweight destroyer Max Holloway takes on dangerous double threat Charles Oliveira, plus a welterweight showdown between Neil Magny and Eric Silva. UFC Fight Night Sunday at 5:30 only on Fox Sports 1. Lolis, Maxwell, Vogelsong. Cardinals 2 hits tonight. San Francisco 3. Last 2 innings have been more problematic than the previous 4 for Lance Lynn. He's had 8 at bats. He's dealt with runners in scoring position in the last 2 innings. Out of play.
.86 pitches, so plenty left in the tank for Lance. Watching Tommy Pham, center fielder, last couple pitches he's moved towards left. Big gap out in right center, but seeing Lawless have a little trouble getting around on these pitches.
Cardinals have Moss, Molina, and Wong coming up in the bottom of the 7th. At times it's been a strike tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's what pitchers and hitters do not like. Be consistent.
The 2-2. Hit that out of Yadi's glove.
Sure appeared that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just got a piece of it. Stay up there.
The Hazelwood product and pitcher now for Miami, David Phelps. We saw him leave the game over the weekend, done for the season with a fractured right forearm.
Saw he went on the DL, but I think that was probably surprising.
When you're playing the Giants, you hear something like that, it's hard, at least for me, not to think about Dave Dravecky coming back from cancer and the horrific injury that he had. Broke his arm just throwing the baseball.
And
play again.
I've seen 3 different guys do that professionally, throw a pitch and break their arm. And I just keep on reminding me, what do these little kids do when their bodies are not physically bone skeletal structure.
I've never seen something that we are witnessing right now in the booth. Al dropped his pen at his foot, and we literally cannot find it.
It's a very valuable pen.
Moss is over, and this time he comes up with it. Nice play, Brandon Moss.
Much more difficult than the play earlier. He was playing towards the line, but still a very difficult play. And here you see he's contending with foul territory, that wall coming up quickly, and Brandon makes a very nice play on that one. A much more difficult play.
Here's a look at the Mazda game summary. 1-0 San Francisco. Vogelsong still in the game. Crawford 1 for 2. And Lynn 6 1/3 thus far. Breaking ball. A cutter to Maxwell. 1 out. No balls, 1 strike, nobody on. Giants picked up a run on a ground ball from Brandon Crawford to score Gregor Blanco back in the 6th. And yes, Al has found his pen.
About Maxwell. Maxwell is hit by a pitch and then intentionally walked. Remember when we first saw him with Houston.
He was a high draft choice, took him a while. Non-roster invitee for the Giants.
And tell again an interesting story about his parents.
Well, that's his dad. That's the dentist. Was a presidential dentist for the Clintons and George Bush.
Well, we've seen a lot of pitches being called strikes tonight. Mike Krukow, who was an excellent pitcher in his day, one of the broadcasters for the Giants, said Wendelstedt has a very small strike zone, and said Vogelsong really needs to have those pitches on the corner. And we've seen a few pitches that aren't even near the corner be called strikes.
Strikeout for Lynn. Number 6. And look who's coming up to pinch hit here for the Giants, and why not? Madison Bumgarner, who's the reigning National League Player of the Week and had the amazing postseason run a year ago for San Francisco. Thankfully, you don't see him on the mound.
Well, just on Sunday when he pitched, he threw a shutout, struck out 14, and also hit a home run in that game. You make a mistake, he can lose it. He has 4 home runs on the year, 7 RBIs, and a .245 average.
They say he is country strong when they describe Madison Bumgarner. Over 50 innings and an ERA just over 1 in postseason play last year. Became the Sportsman of the Year for Sports Illustrated. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He sure wasn't worried about his long-term future with the innings that he pitched last year. Coming back on short rest, turning the game around and winning that final game for him.
Yvonne Gallardo among active pitchers with 12 home runs. Bumgarner is second with 10. And Travis Wood is third with 9. 3-1.
Bob Forrest was a good hitting pitcher. Gibson was a good hitting pitcher. Guys like Warren Spahn, Rick Rhoden. Leaving out a ton of them, but
fights it off into shallow left. Bumgarner a base hit into left.
Donnie Robinson of the Pirates. Even George Brett's brother, Kemmer, his older brother, was an excellent hitter.
First pinch hitting appearance for Bumgarner this year and a base hit into left.
All up to him and might have broke his bat, but that bat went down as a hero. And then after this inning, he'll go back and tell all the position players how easy it is.
What I would think is if you're Bruce Bochy, you're always a little concerned anytime a pitcher's at the plate. Bumgarner hitting 2 from the right side where the left arm is exposed. Two outs and a 1-0 pitch to Gregor Blanco and a strike. Cardinals did have Randy Choate up and throwing. He's getting loose for Brandon Belt. A right-hander has joined him. That's Seth Maness.
Gardner, you can see, kind of towers over Reynolds, but
it just gives you an idea. I mean, Mark Reynolds is a big guy, and look at Bumgarner.
Oh, I just, you know, when you look at the players today, just how much bigger they are, and just, you know, tremendous athletes.
Lynn may be on fumes right here. Pitch count at 109. 3-1 the count. Blanco has singled to center and also scored a run on an RBI by Crawford.
Like Choate and Maness were in the Cardinal bullpen. Affelt up for the Giants.
Cardinals will have a couple of lefties coming up. Moss and Wong. Sandwiched in there is Molina. And he walked him. So it's decision time here for Mike Matheny. Does he stick with it for one more? Fourth walk issued by Lance Lynn. One of those was intentional.
Derek Williquist come out and talk to him a little bit. Just slow him down a little bit, get him back breathing. Duffy would be the last batter for him to face with Brandon Belt, the left-hand hitter, on deck and show ready.
It's a roll of the dice if you're Mike Matheny. Lynn at 111 pitches and dealing to the potential Rookie of the Year in Matt Duffy, who is 1 for 3. Time for our T-Mobile photo of the night. Hashtag MWDataStrong. Fan of the game.
Dan, a lot of times a pitching coach will come out in this situation, and one of the things he might sternly tell a guy like Lance Lynn they could handle anything stern said to him, but say, look, your manager's just giving you a chance to win this ball game. So you go out there and get this guy out. You got one chance, and it's Duffy. You're losing, you're out of the game.
And that's ball one.
Falling off a little bit more towards first base, and that keeps him out of the strike zone.
You think about a base hit too, and the pressure on third base coach to send him with Belt on deck and Bumgarner, your runner at second base. You would think he runs as well as a position player, and the last thing you want to do is get him hurt.
And you got a short bench, so you put a thing, you even think about taking one of your other starters and put him out there to pinch run. Get Bumgarner out there. Last thing you want to see is like a collision at the plate. Well, we don't see those anymore anyway.
What this move probably tells you too is that Hunter Pence will not play tonight.
And you know, I said that he had an MRI or at least a see what's going on with a potential oblique. So
Susak is your backup catcher. Yeah. You got a 4-man bench. You got Juan Perez and Adrianza. 2-2.
Their bench isn't quite. A lot of times we'll look at the Cardinal bench and we'll say there's no real firepower there, and the Giants feel the same way about their bench, with Pence being semi-injured.
Pitch number 116 from Lynn. Most pitches he's thrown, 119. And he did that twice against Detroit and Milwaukee. Only 41 pitches last time out. And here comes the crowd. And that will be it. Back-to-back walks. Choate is ready for Belt. So the bases will be loaded for Brandon Belt as we step aside. Randy Choate coming in to face the left-handed hitter. We are in the top of the 7th, and a good ball game tonight. Chevy called to the pen for Randy Choate, and a nice ovation for Lance Lynn. For Randy Choate, sinker slider. He'll get Brandon Belt here. So Choate pitch on Sunday, 10 pitches in that game.
Randy Belt is 2 for 6 with a double and a couple RBIs against Randy. Be the only batter he faces, and hopefully the last batter of the top of the 7th. Randy's inherited more runners than anybody in the National League.
Two outs, bases loaded. First pitch taken for a ball. While with St. Louis, Randy Choate has faced the Giants in 5 games, a 0 ERA in 3 innings. Lynn 6 2/3. So you get a look at the inherited runners stranded by Choate. Belt hitless tonight, and now hit by a pitch. And a run will score to make it 2-0. And Mike Matheny will go back to his bullpen with Buster Posey coming up. Nowhere to put him on with the bases loaded. Bumgarner off the bench with a 2-out single to left. Then back-to-back walks. Belt hit by the pitch. And our Chevy called to the pen, Seth Maness. 2-0 San Francisco. Belt hit by the pitch. Appearance number 59 for Seth Maness, and he's got Buster Posey with the bases loaded. Our crowd tonight, 40,297. 40,297 our attendance here at Busch Stadium. 2-0 Giants. Top of the 7th. Bases loaded, 2 down.
Posey is 0 for 2 against Maness.
0 for 2 tonight with a walk. Lance Lynn in the first 4 innings saw 13 hitters. In the next 2 2/3 he saw 16.
The numbers this season with the bases loaded, 5 for 10.
Yanks that foul to further the point of how hard it got for Lance Lynn. He had 45 pitches in his first 4 innings, 72 in the last 3.
Base loaded was 5 for 10 this with 2 home runs, 2 slams, and 10 RBIs.
Here's a 1-1. And to think that Madison Bumgarner started this rally with 2 outs and nobody on for the Giants. Just a little soft liner to left, back-to-back walks, hit batter.
Never know, do you?
Yeah, it's a funny game. 1 ball, 2 strikes, Buster Posey.
And we talked about it last night with the Giants. You've got to bear down particularly with 2 outs. They came in with 43% of their total runs scored with 2 outs.
Posey, a swing and a miss, and Manus, nice work as he strikes out one of the game's best. Time to stretch. Did they get Lynn off the hook? 2-0. It's a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So it's up to the bullpen of the Giants. Manus gets the strikeout of Posey to strand the bases loaded, keep this a 2-run San Francisco lead. Josh Osich, a left-hander, out of the pen for San Francisco.
Called up on August the 7th, took the spot of Mike Leake when he went on the disabled list. 0.84 ERA in 12 appearances with the Giants, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts. Opponents are just hitting 175 off him with just 3 extra base hits. And it's, to my knowledge, our first look at it.
Moss, Molina, Wong for St. Louis. Moss is 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. Casilla is the closer. He has 28 saves. Petit has 1. Sergio Romo has 2. 2 balls, no strikes. And a ground ball, little tapper to first, and Brandon Belt is there, steps on the bag. Osich in his first 8 games. Really nice job out of the pen for Bruce Bochy's club. 6 innings and just 1 hit. His last 4, though, it's been an adventure. 4 2/3, 4 runs, 6 hits. Here's Yadier Molina. Molina and a fly ball into center field for out number 2. There's Romo and that great slider getting loose. Those young Giants fans looking on. Osich was drafted by the Angels 7th round in 2010. Did not sign. Pitched collegiately at UCLA where he threw a no-hitter. Giants chose him 6th round in 2011 out of UCLA. To the count. Talk to the folks with the Giants, and they say one thing about Osich is a lot of late life with the fastball. Possesses that slider. Mixes in a changeup. 1-2 pitch to Colton Wong. Osich, quick work of the Cardinals here in the 7th. We head to the 8th in game 2 of this 3-game series. 2-0 San Francisco. Let's go to our studio and a Bomberito Sports Update. All right, Pat, we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you very much. Here's Tyler Lyons, who was in relief of Lance Lynn his last time out. And Tyler went 5 1/3 scoreless against the Pirates in a game that the Cardinals had the potential go-ahead and winning run coming up to the plate late in that game. He pitched very well out of the pen, and albeit a brief sample size, very good work out of the bullpen for Tyler Lyons. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals.
Talk about that relief ERA under 1 and 29+ innings in his pitching in relief.
Ball 1 to Brandon Crawford.
And I think we feel that Tyler Lyons can be a very valuable guy coming out of the bullpen. Swing man, spot starter, but long man in the bullpen.
Good breaking ball.
I kind of like the fact that you carry 3 left-handers, especially when you have a guy like Randy Schote that is such a specialist. Many times he's only facing one guy. It helps to have that third left-hander in the pen.
Here's a 1-1. That breaking ball again popped up. Long way to go for Moss, and out of play. Well, just to give me an idea, as a starter, Lions ERA is near 6. As a reliever, 0.92, and that's in his career.
Right.
So he's been really good out of the bullpen.
And we've seen him, you know, as a starter, do a very credible job in, you know, emergency role or spot starting. But it's that third time through the order that gives him fits. So, you know, he can go out there and deal for, as you said, the last time out of the bullpen, 5 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball.
One ball, 2 strikes. Deb Ayers is watching and enjoying Cardinals baseball tonight. Never misses a game on Fox Sports Midwest. Big Cardinal fan. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Crawford. Breaking ball again. That one was hung and hit out to center. Pham with room.
If you're going to hang him, make it where they hit him to Death Valley out in center field.
See where Molina set up the outside portion of the plate. Caught way too much in the middle, but Lyons gets away with it. He is the 4th pitcher used by Mike Matheny tonight. Lynn, Choate, Manus, now Lyons. 1 out, nobody on. Tomlinson is hit into a double play. He struck out and also flied out with 2 runners on back in the 6th inning. Base hit into center field.
Set up away again and run off the end of the bat. Not a bad pitch.
It's a breaking ball again. He's had a couple of really good ones here in the top of the 8th.
Seen at times that become a pretty swing and miss pitch for him.
Here is Lolis. And a check on Tomlinson. No stolen bases this year.
Always 28-year-old rookie outfielder. He was recalled Thursday when Aoki was put on the 7-day concussion DL. He's eligible to come off on Thursday. He's now hitless in his 9 plate appearances.
Good play by Moss back in the 7th. Near the left field line and the sidewall. Up the middle, Peralta can't come up with it. Sneaks under his glove. And a base hit into center field.
The first major league hit for the Missouri product. They'll get that ball and take it out of play.
What a thrill. Almost caught by Lyons and then almost caught by Peralta just under his glove.
Well, the ball got by Lyons quickly.
Ooh.
Cishak warming up at the Cardinal bullpen.
Justin Maxwell with 2 runners on. Maxwell was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Left stranded. Intentionally walked in the 5th. Struck out in the 7th. Ground ball left side. Tough hop for Carpenter. Out there, and Wong puts it in his back pocket. Runners at 1st and 3rd. We'll see a pinch hitter here. Ire Andrianza. Runners at 1st and 3rd. 2 outs. 2-0 San Francisco here in the top of the 8th. Romo was up and throwing in the Giants bullpen. We'll see if Bruce Bochy stays with him coming up for the bottom half of the 8th. Former closer of San Francisco. Oh, 2.
Andrianza has hit left-handed pitchers very well. 294 versus righties that he's hit only 154. Has 3 hits in his last 22 at bats.
Blocked very nicely there by Molina.
Bring your glove, huh? Sitting that close. Andrianza has 1 career home run.
Runner from first was off of that pitch. Back to the bag now.
Andrianza hit a home run September 22nd, 2013 off of Andy Pettit. His only big league home run. He was hitting .316 with 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 44 games at AAA.
One-two pitch and a ground ball to 3rd. Charged by Carpenter, and he makes the play. Giants strand 2. The Cardinals just 2 hits tonight. They'll try to change that when we come back. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Sergio Romo. One thing you'll notice with him as we watch him, a Chevy call to the pen here in the bottom of the 8th. You talk about a good slider. When right, it is as good as anybody's in baseball.
Got the second most holds in the National League with 25. Fourth most in the majors. Been able to get the righties out very easily, just a 146 average. But left-handed batters, 432 average against Romo.
It makes you wonder about the availability tonight of a Jason Hayward who can come off the bench. Romo has learned to change the movement on his slider. He has one with a little sink, throws one that's harder, shorter one that isn't quite as hard. Look at that.
You know it's coming too.
Almost out of baseball with Sergio Romo. He was in the minor leagues and was pitching in Colorado in that thin air. Changed the grip, changed his career. Here's the 0-2. Posey sets up way outside, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He's listed at 5'11", 185, and I think both of those are a little generous. But he's been their closer in the past. He's now the setup man.
Cardinals' last hit was Peralta. Hit one off the top of the wall to lead off the top of the 4th. They have just 2 hits tonight, the 1-2.
Reynolds is 0 for 7 against Romo.
The 2-2 pitch. They talk about the deficiencies at times with the slider against the left-handers because he'll get underneath it too much and it just spins.
Yeah.
You don't have the downward movement, not as sharp, just sits on a tee for a left-handed batter.
Well, or if he really throws it like he does the righty, it hits him. So, you know, all of a sudden you're trying to guide the ball and it flattens out.
Fastball looking for the slider and a strikeout.
Didn't throw that hard, but you guess wrong and couldn't pull the trigger.
Strike 2, Tommy Pham.
Tommy Pham 0 for 5 since coming up yesterday, and 0 for 9 in his last 9 big league at bats.
Fly to left and lined out to right. Last time the Giants had a 2-hit shutout against St. Louis was in 2009. Tim Lincecum beat Brad Thompson that night 10-0. Here's an 0-2 pitch. And for our fans that are out of state, out of the area, Brad Thompson calling St. Louis home and does a terrific job on the radio on ESPN 101 here in town.
He really does.
He does a great job.
And I've been extremely impressed with his knowledge of all sports.
One of the real good guys, too.
Yep. He's filled in with us on Fox Sports Midwest on pre and post games.
2 balls, 2 strikes. There are 2 guys that are in local radio that I thought when they were playing there is no way they're going to get in the media. One was Brad Thompson and the other Chris Duncan, and they're both fabulous. 2-2 pitch. Two down. Boy, this guy's nasty, isn't he?
He is. Like you said, the left-handers have got him this year, but if you can set it up to where he's facing 3 straight right-handed batters, Peter Borges will pinch hit here. He's over his last 16. He's due.
Trying to extend it to Carpenter. Certainly you think about the potential of a bunt. Trying to get on any way he can. Corners are way in. 2 outs, nobody on, and Borges looks at a strike. You can see where these hitters are gearing up for the slider, and a fastball comes in at 87. It looks like 187.
Exactly. Lopez, the lefty, warming up for Carpenter. Got to get to him.
0-2. Cishek has been standing on the mound in the bullpen. He will have the 9th.
Still playing in Pittsburgh and in the top of 13th. Still tied 8-8. Cubs are still in a rain delay. Kansas City has taken a 3-1 lead in the 13th against Kansas City, or excuse me, against Cincinnati.
The 0-2. Romo strikes out the side, sends us to the 9th. Steve Cishek, thank you, Pat. Our Chevy called to the pen. 41st appearance overall with Miami and St. Louis. Dave Dombrowski will take over the Boston Red Sox. Ben Cherington step aside. Dombrowski, architect of so many good teams with Detroit. Various stops in his major league career, and now he will run the Boston Red Sox. Here's Gregor Blanco, top of the lineup for San Francisco. First pitch, a strike, and we're underway here in the ninth. It's only a 2-run deficit. We say this a lot when you don't hit. It seems like more. The Cardinals only 2 hits tonight.
And it's been a while. The last hit was in the leading off the 4th inning. The other one in the first. Second batter, Piscotty. Kind of got a single. Peralta double in the 4th, and that's it.
And a fly ball out to left. Brandon Moss. Cardinals fans, did you know StubHub is personalized just for you? Now with the StubHub app, you can select your favorite teams and artists and discover new ones too. Start at StubHub and let the fun find you. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. Romo went right through the Cardinals. And there is no activity right now in their bullpen. So he strikes out the side in the 8th. We may see him in the 9th. Here's Matt Duffy. 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ground ball, Wong to his left. 2 down. Two outs, Brandon Belt.
He's 0 for 3, but picked up a RBI. Hit pitch with the bases loaded for the 2nd run.
Tapped foul.
A lot of times you see somebody that throws like Cishek, you would think they'd have trouble with lefties, but pretty much for over here Cishek's career, he's been able to handle the left-handed bats, even though they get a good look at the release point.
I was talking to him about that, and he believes it's velocity. You know, his velocity is pretty good. See it at 92 to 94. Win right. That time at 89. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Belt is 0 for 5 against this sidewinder. You see how that kind of is a big change, you know, with all the guys thrown over the top coming out of the Cardinal bullpen. A lot like what Pat Neshek did. So you could see the success that Pat had last year, that they thought Cishek would be able to get his arm, you know, get his game straightened out again and be effective coming out of the pen. Also another setup guy and another choice if you're looking for a closer when Rosenthal needs a rest. Broxton, Cishek, Manus, Segras.
And a walk with 2 outs. Last thing he wanted to do is give Buster Posey another crack at it. A 2-out walk, and here is Posey. Posey came up with the bases loaded last time and struck out.
1 for 5 off of Cishek.
Time is called. One ball, one strike. 13th, Diamondbacks, Pirates tied up 8-8. They resumed action at Wrigley, 5-2 Detroit over Chicago. That's in the top of the 4th. Big gap in left center. Outfield is deep. Not foreign to Sergio Romo to pitch more than one inning, even as a closer. He's done that 48 times with a .84 ERA.
You know, Castilla's had some good years for them, and they're, even though this year he's a little bit erratic. So I mean, they may be trying to see what happens. Can they get to? He has 28 saves, but
nice job. Strikes out Posey. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Good work by Cishek. 2-0 Giants. Bottom of the 9th, it's 2-0 Giants. The Cardinals have the top of the lineup. This inning for Bruce Bochy will start with a left-hander. So they'll go to their bullpen and bring in Javier Lopez, who was the key acquisition by Brian Sabean back in 2010. Affeld got hurt. Lopez was acquired. He had changed his throwing style. He was over the top for the longest time and then went to more three-quarters, almost sidearm, and has become tough on lefties. 57th appearance in our Chevy called to the pen, and Carpenter leads it off. Matt is 0 for 3 tonight. The Cardinals with just 2 hits. The first pitch to him, taken for a ball.
Carpenter is 2 for 3 off of Lopez, and Lopez with a 1.44 ERA. Opponents only batting 127 off him. So tough choice right here, but Cardinals have 30 come from behind. Can they make it 31?
By the way, while we have a moment, congratulations to Ben Boltman and his wife Haley on the birth of their first child, son Connor Benjamin. And Ben puts in a lot of long hours downstairs in the video room for the Cardinals. Congratulations, Ben.
And great news.
Two-0. Two and two.
Lopez having the best season of his 13 years at the big leagues. Lefties are hitting 123 off him with just 2 extra base hits.
3 and 2.
Castillo, their closer with 28 saves, is lurking in the bullpen. So we'll see if this is the only man that Lopez faces, probably, if he loses him.
3-2 pitch to Carpenter. He did lose him. Tying run will come to the plate.
And how many times we talk about when you walk a man late in the ball game on the line like this, you're just opening the door.
So Lopez walks Carpenter. Tying run comes to the plate in the form of Steven Piscotty when we come back. Scotty steps in, representing the tying run, Santiago Casilla, right-handed pitcher that in this great run of the Giants has been used out of the pen as a closer, a setup man. He has 5 blown saves, tied for the second most in the National League.
And he struggled of late. He's posted an 8.44 ERA and a 362 opponent's average against him in his past 14 appearances. Left-handed batters hitting .328 against him for the year and 9 for the last 23. But he is getting the righties out at .225. So Piscotty, who got the Cardinals' first hit, and they only have 2 on the night, has another shot here. Can he make it 2 nights in a row being the hero?
First pitch to Piscotty. Casilla possesses a pretty good curveball that he credits Moises Alou with. Moises Alou is the general manager in the Dominican Winter League and said he needed to develop that pitch, and it's gotten much better over the years. First pitch was a fastball. Here's an 0-1 to Piscotty.
He has allowed 5 home runs on the year.
Signed a minor league deal with the Giants prior to 2010 and made the club and has been part of this run. So many comeback and thrilling moments this year for the Cardinals, trying to add another. Peralta is on deck. Short lead at first by Carpenter. Piscotty in the hole, 0-2.
In 2012, 2014, he appeared in 8 games in the championship series against St. Louis. And no earned runs during that time. 8 appearances, but just 6 innings of work.
One ball, 2 strikes. Outfield is deep. Piscotty had a pretty good rip. Yeah, what you saw, and I mentioned that his breaking ball is the improved pitch form, but he's thrown one in this sequence to Steven. It wasn't a very good one. Does he have that tonight? And if not, can you sit on a fastball?
Well, maybe that's it. You know, that's why he's had some bad outings, is because he doesn't have that consistency. You can lose the feel for it too.
It's another 1-2.
There's you're trying to see there.
The second time he hasn't gotten on top of it.
Right now, Piscotty, who it's all new to him, but file it in your memory bank that you could take that curveball away from him right now. Sit on the fastball. Still got to hit something 93, 94 miles an hour, but Scotty hit. Got his triple last night off of Strickland, another hard thrower in the Giants bullpen. Looks like they're going to try the breaking ball again.
The 2-2.
Good slider there.
In steps Peralta, who's had some of the better at bats for the Cardinals this evening. Piscotty now 1 for 4. His single was back in the first inning. Peralta doubled off the top of the wall back in the 4th. That is the last hit for the Cardinals.
Only had 1 base runner, and that was the walk to Carpenter to lead off this inning since the 4th.
Last time that a team came in and shut out the Cardinals like this was back in 2010. July 22nd, 2010. Cole Hamels, 8 innings, 1 hit. And then there was the relievers that came in and shut the door. And the Cardinals had a loss to the hands of the Phillies. And tonight it's a shutout with only 2 hits allowed. Peralta breaks his bat. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cardinals are 13-8 currently in shutouts.
It was 18 days ago the last time that Peralta hit a home run. He is sitting on 16 this year. Brandon Moss is on deck. Big gap in left center. The 1-1. 2-1.
Peralta is 2 for 7 with a home run against Castilla. See how deep they are. No doubles defense. Nothing over your head that stays in the ballpark.
Two 2-1 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Casillas thinking strikeout, maybe double play. Rally caps are out. This crowd over 40,000. The 2-2. Spoiled by Peralta.
Hey, they're playing baseball in Chicago. Into the bottom of the 4th inning. Detroit has a 6-2 lead. They're in the top of the 14th inning in Pittsburgh. Not up 8-8 for the Diamondbacks. But we got to get this one in. Got to get this victory.
It's another 2-2. Got him. Strikeout of Peralta. Back-to-back Ks for Casilla. And the final hope is Brandon Moss.
Talked about how lefties recently have hit .391 off of Casilla. .328 for the year. Had an .844 ERA. His last 14 appearances.
Carpenter will take second base.
Moss over 2 with a walk and 2 strikeouts against Casilla. See numbers for the year, but recently lefties are hitting even much higher. And there you see the 4 home runs. We'll take one right now.
Here's a 1-0. Yadier Molina on deck if Moss can extend the ballgame. Cardinals down to their final hope. Moss with a walk back in the 1st inning. He's popped out and grounded out. Broken bat into center field. This should do it. The Giants take game number 2 with a final of 2-0. The Giants pitching shuts down the Cardinals. Just 2 hits tonight. The last hit coming off the bat of Peralta to lead off the 4th.